Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a very specific and I think very universal frustration. You know, that moment you're completely spiraling.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a rage loop or a panic attack, or you're just, obsessively replaying an argument you lost 3 hours ago. You're in it. And then usually someone who loves you looks at you and says, hey, just let it go.
Oh, the worst. It is the absolute worst advice in the history of
It
advice.
makes you want to throw a chair. Right. Because it's not just unhelpful, it feels, I don't know, dismissive.
Mhm.
It implies I'm holding on to this for fun.
Yeah, like there's a little switch on your back labeled misery, and you've just, decided to leave it on.
Exactly, a toggle switch. But today, we are going to look at a source that actually validates why that advice is so infuriating, while at the same time proving that letting go is, well, the only way out. We're diving into a text called Structural Logic and the Compassion of Capacity.
And this is not your standard self-help book. Not at
Yeah.
all.
It reads much more like a mechanic's manual for the mind.
An engineering textbook, almost.
Yeah.
It treats the mind less like a garden to be tended and more like a high-voltage electrical system.
Which, honestly, I found relieving. Because gardens are messy, electrical systems have rules. And the mission for this deep dive is to sort of resolve this massive contradiction.
Which is...
Well, on one hand, you have the pure logic. To stop burning, you have to drop the hot coal. It's just physics. But on the other hand, you have the reality of being human trauma, panic, where it feels like dropping that coal is physically impossible.
And that is the central tension. If suffering is a choice we're making, if we're the ones holding on, why does it feel like it's happening to us?
Right. Why does a panic attack feel like a seizure and not a decision?
Exactly. And to get to the bottom of that, we have to unpack two terms from the source: structure and capacity.
And I want to warn you, we're starting with the structure part, and it's pretty harsh. There's a sentence in the first chapter that I read, and I immediately wanted to just close the browser tab.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
It says, if you aren't doing it now, you aren't doing it.
Yeah. It's a scary sentence. It sounds like an accusation.
It sounds like a drill sergeant. If you aren't fixed right this second, you're failing. It feels like it just completely invalidates the weight of the past. If I've been traumatized for 20 years, how can you tell me that if I'm not releasing it now, I'm not doing it?
I get it. It feels aggressive. But this is where we have to take off our sort of emotional interpretation hat
Yeah.
and put on our physics hat. When the text says now, it isn't making a moral demand. It's just stating a structural fact.
A fact about how energy works.
Precisely. Structurally, suffering, the act of clinging, of fueling a narrative, it's an active process. It burns energy. And you can only burn energy in the present moment.
So it's challenging that whole idea that the past is pushing on us.
Exactly. We think, I'm sad because of what happened 10 years ago. Structurally, the source says, no. You are sad because right now, in this very second, you are running a mental process that recreates that pain.
Okay, that's a big claim. Let's unpack that.
Think of a light bulb. The light is on. Why is it on?
Because electricity is flowing through it right now.
Is it on because it was on 10 minutes ago?
No, it's on because the switch is closed.
Exactly. The history of the light bulb is irrelevant to its mechanics. There's no stored light. If you cut the power now, the light goes out now, instantly. The source is just saying suffering works the same way. It's not a backpack you're carrying. It's a muscle you're clenching.
Which is, it's logically true. If I stop pinching myself, the pain stops. The mechanism is instant. But, and this is the huge, but if it's instant, why can't I just do it?
That is the million-dollar question.
Seriously. If I'm in a cortisol spike and I know logically that cutting the power would stop it, why does it feel like the switch is glued shut? You tell a traumatized person, you're fueling this now. They're not going to hear physics.
They're going to hear this is your fault.
Yes.
And that is the tragedy of confusing the mechanism with the user.
This is why this source is so important. It gives us the second half of the equation, capacity.
The text says, and this is a direct quote, structure explains how suffering is maintained. Capacity explains why releasing it may not be immediately possible.
Okay. May not be immediately possible.
Hmm.
That feels important. So define capacity here. Is this just willpower?
No, not willpower. Willpower is cognitive. Capacity is biological. We're talking about the nervous system's actual available resources. Things like, regulation, attentional stability, the window of tolerance.
The window of tolerance. I've heard of that. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
how much stress you can handle before you just snap.
Basically, yeah. Think of letting go not as a decision, but as a transaction. It has a cost. Let's say letting go of a huge grudge costs, I don't know, $100 of nervous system energy.
Okay. $100?
To do that, you need to stabilize your attention, regulate your heart, tolerate vulnerability. It's an expensive transaction. Now, imagine you're traumatized or sleep deprived or you just got fired. Your biological bank account might only have $10 in it.
So I'm standing there at the toll booth. I know the toll's $100. I want to pay it. I'm screaming, take my money, but I'm broke.
You are structurally broke. It's not that you won't let go. It's that you can't afford it. And this is why just let it go is such terrible advice. It's like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk.
The logic of walking hasn't changed.
Nope. Left foot, right foot, that's the structure. But the capacity of the hardware, the leg, is compromised.
This is actually huge because I think so many of us carry this load of shame thinking, I know better, so I should do better. But this is saying knowing is irrelevant if you don't have the funding.
Exactly. It validates the struggle without validating the story. It says, you aren't crazy for being stuck. Your system is overdrawn. But, and this is the hard truth, you are still the one holding the coal. The fact that you can't drop it yet doesn't change the fact that it's burning you.
This is such a tough spot. I'm burning, I'm holding the coal, but my hand is cramped shut. So let's get practical. For the listener right now who's in that cramp, are they just doomed to burn until they, heal for 5 years?
No. And this is the most actionable part of the entire text. I think this is the core of it. There's a back door to the problem. And it's all about distinguishing between two things, abandoning the action and abandoning the view.
Abandoning the action versus abandoning the view. Okay, this was the part where I had to pause and reread. Can you break this down for us?
Let's use an analogy from the source. Imagine your hand is on a hot stove.
Okay. Ouch.
The action is your hand physically on the burner. Now, in a perfect world, high capacity, you'd just move your hand.
Action abandoned. Problem solved. Easy.
But let's say you're in that low capacity state. Trauma response, maybe? You physically cannot move your hand yet. You're locked in the behavior.
So what does that look like in real life? The hand on the stove?
It looks like screaming at your partner even though you know you're making it worse. It looks like doom scrolling at 3 a.m. It looks like replaying an embarrassing memory for the 1,000th time. You're doing the thing that hurts and you feel totally unable to stop.
Okay, so I'm the screaming match. I know I should stop, but the adrenaline is just, I literally can't shut my mouth. I'm on the stove.
Right. Now, usually, to survive that moment, to deal with the dissonance of, I am hurting myself, we start lying. We create a view. We tell ourselves, this stove isn't that hot, or I have to keep my hand here because if I move it, he wins, or I'm screaming because he deserves it. We build a story to justify the suffering. We defend the stove.
Oh, I do this constantly. I'm not spiraling, I'm problem solving, or I'm not holding a grudge, I'm holding them accountable.
Exactly. That is the view, the story that says, this pain is necessary. This burning is right. Now, here's the shift. You might not have the capacity to stop screaming yet, to abandon the action, but you can stop lying about it.
So you can abandon the view while the action is still happening.
Yes. This is the crucial nuance. You can be in the middle of the argument, heart pounding, and internally just say, I am doing this. It hurts. I don't want to be doing this, but I can't stop right now. But I admit the stove is hot. I admit this is not helping.
Wow. It feels strangely paradoxical. I'm doing it, I hate it, but I own it.
It's the first crack in the armor. The source comes at honest admission. It is a moment of non-clinging, right in the middle of clinging. You stop defending your right to suffer. You stop saying, I should be angry, and you just start saying, I am angry, and I see that it's burning me.
It's like stepping out of the river to watch yourself drown instead of just drowning.
That's a great way to put it. You create this tiny observer distance, and most importantly, you stop adding secondary fuel. When you justify the anger, he deserves this, you're pouring gasoline on the fire. When you just admit the truth, I am burning myself, you stop adding fuel.
The fire might burn for a bit longer on its own.
But you've stopped feeding it.
This seems so practical for anyone with trauma, because we always try to force the behavior change first. We try to rip our hand off the stove, we fail, and then we just spiral into shame.
And shame is the second arrow. First, you burn from the stove. Then you burn from hating yourself for touching the stove.
I'm a failure. I'm so weak. I'm just a toxic person.
The source calls this moral framing, treating a mechanical failure like a sin. I failed to let go, therefore I am bad. And this is so dangerous because shame is expensive. Remember the bank account. If you only have $10 of capacity and you spend $5 of it beating yourself up, you now have even less capacity to deal with the original problem. Shame actively lowers your resources.
So what's the alternative? How do I hold myself accountable without just beating myself up?
You switch to diagnostic framing.
Diagnostic framing. Okay.
Think like a mechanic again.
Yeah.
If a car won't start, the mechanic doesn't kick the tires and call the car lazy or unspiritual.
Right. They just look at the system.
They ask, is the battery dead? Is the starter broken? It's just data. So diagnostic framing sounds like this. Instead of I failed, you say, support for the suffering was still present.
Yeah.
Instead of I'm weak, you say, capacity was insufficient for release in that moment.
Capacity was insufficient. That is such a powerful reframe. It sounds almost cold, but it's actually incredibly kind.
It's clinical kindness. Because you can work with data. You can't work with shame. If you know capacity was low, the solution isn't self-hatred. The solution is rest, regulation, food, sleep. It actually points you toward a fix.
It keeps you from spending that precious energy on self-attack. It keeps the focus on the mechanics.
Exactly. But this leads to a question I know you're about to ask.
I am, because building capacity rest, therapy, that all sounds slow.
Yeah.
But we started by saying releases now. The light bulb goes out instantly. So which is it? Is this fast or slow?
It's the classic paradox, and the answer is yes.
Walk me through that.
The source uses this great slogan, gradual readiness for immediate release.
Gradual readiness for immediate release. I like that.
Think about weightlifting. If you want to deadlift 500 pounds, you don't just walk into the gym and do it. You train for years. That's the gradual part, the building capacity part.
That's the daily grind, the slow work.
Correct. But the lift itself, the moment the bar leaves the floor, that happens in a second. You don't lift the bar gradually over 3 weeks. The event is immediate. The prep is gradual.
I see. So we're training our nervous systems to be ready for that split-second decision to just let go.
Yes. And it explains why it often feels like nothing is happening for ages. You're training, meditating, trying, and nothing shifts. It feels like failure. But think about opening a really stuck jar.
Ah, the pickle jar scenario.
You twist and you strain for 2 minutes. That's the gradual pressure. Nothing moves. It looks like you're failing. And then pop.
The lid turns.
The release is instant. But that pop only happened because of the 2 minutes of straining that came before it. If you'd stopped at 1 minute and 50 seconds and said, I'm a failure, this isn't working, you would have missed it.
That is really comforting. It means the struggle isn't a sign that it's not working. The struggle is the work.
Exactly. The straining is the accumulation of capacity.
Okay, so that brings us to the final big idea here, which I think ties it all together. Structural compassion. How is that different from, regular compassion?
Well, we usually think of compassion as a soft, emotional, oh, poor you, it's not your fault kind of thing.
Right, an overlay to make things feel nice.
Structural compassion is logical. It says, I see that you are burning. I see that you cannot let go yet. I understand the mechanics of why you are stuck. And I will wait with you until your capacity rises.
It's like tough love, but without any of the judgment. It acknowledges the difficulty without validating helplessness.
It holds both truths at once. Truth 1. The structure is uncompromising. If you hold the stove, you will burn. That's physics. Truth 2. The human system is conditioned. You might not have the capacity to let go yet. That's biology. Structural compassion honors both.
It lets you look at your own struggles without flinching. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt, and you don't have to pretend you can fix it instantly.
You just have to understand the mechanics.
So let's boil this all down. Someone's listening. They're going to face a stressor today. A boss, traffic, whatever. When they feel that clamp tighten, what's the move?
The move is, don't try to force the action of letting go if it's not happening. Don't bang on the jar lid. Instead, focus entirely on the view.
Abandon the view.
Catch yourself justifying the stress. Catch yourself saying, I need to worry about this. And just replace it with the diagnostic truth. Say, I am worrying. It is draining me. I don't have the capacity to stop right now, but I admit that this worry is not useful.
I admit the stove is hot.
I admit the stove is hot. Start there. That honesty saves your energy, and eventually that saved energy adds up to enough capacity to finally pull your hand away.
It turns I'm a mess into I'm in training.
And training is something we can actually do.
I think that's the most hopeful thing I've heard in a long time. It removes the magic and replaces it with mechanics. And it can work with mechanics.
Always check the manual.
Absolutely. Thank you for this. And to everyone listening, check your capacity, be honest about the view, and give yourself credit for the straining, even if the jar hasn't popped yet. We'll see you on the next deep dive.